Hello, I'm Luke, and welcome to another episode of the Vision to Victory podcast, where we discuss practical ways to turn your dreams into reality. We've been discussing the importance of finding freedom in our lives and how there's so many ways and places that we can stay stuck and we can be prisoners to old habits, old ways of thinking. We can just simply stay stuck in ways of life that are not serving us. And of course, that's not what we want. We want freedom. And so we've been talking about different areas in our life where we need and want to find freedom to live a life of meaning and fulfillment. And last week, we talked about the freedom to hope, which is so important. And I would say that if this is a good starting point for any other freedom that we may want to find in our life, because if we're ever believing the lie of hopelessness, the lie that this is the way it always is going to be, this is just how I am, this is just how they are, whatever that is exactly a lie. And we need to address that first. So if you didn't listen to that, I encourage you to. But today, I want to talk about the freedom to pursue. And this topic is really near and dear to my heart. And so I hope I'm able to paint a really good picture of what this looks like in our life and the obvious implications of when we have this freedom. There's so many domino effects of how it can affect our lives and the lives of others in a very positive way. So I think one of the easiest ways to understand pursuit is to illustrate what it's not. And the opposite of pursuit is retreat. So think of a battlefield, and we all know what retreat looks like on a battlefield, right? Whoever lost the battle sees there's no chance of victory, so they escape. They run away effectively. They retreat. They admit defeat. I find this to be a vivid picture of what we often do in our lives. We retreat in some area of our life, where we have maybe experienced pain or failure, whatever it is, we resign ourselves to this again, position of retreat or defeat, where again, you get the language of this is just the way it is, just the way I am, whatever that looks like. And by the way, if you're unsure, if you're living in a posture of defeat or again retreat in any area of your life, those are the types of things you'll hear yourself say, whether out loud or to yourself. I'm just, they're just, this is the way it is. And you get a lot of passive language, passive and resigned. So you use words like try, maybe, I think, instead of I will, I can, right? It sounds a little cliche, but it's really true. And we don't want to live in that way, right? We don't want to live in a passive, retreated, or defeated way. And the behaviors of retreat are also passive and resigned, right? So isolation, I think we maybe all have either been there in our own lives or certainly know people that have, where if you feel defeated or depressed, or you're living in some sort of resignation, again, one of the most common things we do is we isolate. And maybe there's self-pity, inaction. You just don't do anything, or you become very distracted you find anything to just kind of disconnect from reality. These are the behaviors of what retreat and resignation look like. And retreat, of course, is the opposite of what we want for our lives. We want victory. The reason I started this podcast was because I believe that victory is available for all of us in every single area of our life. And I want it for myself. I want it for the people close to me, and I want it for you and for the people close to you. And we don't want to live a life of defeat where we've, resigned ourselves to a certain place when there's so much more for us. And so let's talk about what we want. We want pursuit. And to pursue is to seek, to attain, or accomplish a goal. So going back to the battlefield, the pursuer is the one who sees the victory is near and pushes forward to take the ground to capture the battlefield. And again, I love this picture and how it applies to our life. We're made to pursue. We're made to take ground. We're made to move forward. What keeps us from pursuing, keeps us in retreat, fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, what's somebody else going to think, pain, regret, past defeat, self-doubt, I can't do this. And what do we need to pursue? Courage. All those fears. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing it anyway. It's doing it in spite of your fears. And we also need to let go. We've talked a lot about this. Go back a few weeks. I did a whole episode on the need to let go of whatever is keeping you stuck, whatever's holding you hostage. We have to be willing to let go, and then we need to take action. So courage, let go, take action. I love a speech that was given by Roger Federer, one of the top tennis players of all time, arguably one of the best 5, I would say, tennis players of all time. He gave a commencement speech, and he said, in the 1,526 singles matches he played in his career, he won nearly 80% of the matches, which you might expect, by the way. But he only won 54% of the points in those matches. Just think about that. That means on average, he lost every other point. As one of the best tennis players in the world, still lost every other point. And what he said was this: when you lose every other point on average, you learn not to dwell on it. The only thing that matters is the next point. And I've talked about different versions of this over different podcast episodes. This is so important. And I think I have to remind myself of this every single day. And that's why I spend so much time saying it is, it doesn't matter what you've been through, right? Where you've been, we're all going to lose points in life. What matters is the next point. The Apostle Paul said it this way: one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me. And what's interesting about this is Paul's not just talking about his failures or his defeats, but he's actually talking about his successes too, which he had many. And back to the tennis illustration, it doesn't matter whether you lost or you won the last point. The only thing that matters now is this point. This is so true in life. This is so true in your life, in my life. What matters is, what are we going to do now? It's great. The wins that you had, the good things that you've been a part of, any achievements, the people that you've helped, all of those things are good. And the hard things, the pain, the suffering, the loss, that's part of life that we all must experience, and hopefully we learn and we grow from it. In fact, I would say that's where we learn and when we grow. And so we need that too. But what matters is now. And what are you going to do now with your life? And so I just want to go back to this and say, if you want to pursue instead of retreat, then you'll need courage. You'll have to let go of the past failures, hurts, pains, the past successes, past achievements. You can't rest on that. And you will have to take action. So my challenge to you is this: what area in your life do you need to take ground to come out of defeat and pursue what you know is in your heart? And I would say have courage. Let go of whatever you've let hold you back and take action to move forward. I hope this was helpful for somebody. If it was, share it, like, subscribe. I'll talk to you next week.